here's what I'm planning to read for the month of October. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and welcome back to Zocktober. So today we have got my October TBR list. We will have these 6 books listed down below. It is 6. I do have a book that is rather beefy. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me show you some books for October. Alright, so with it being the month of October, I decided to pick mainly horror books. So there is no Danielle pick for the month of Zocktober. She'll probably have a couple in November. The first book that I'm going to be trying to read is Hell House by Richard Matheson. So I have read Stir of Echoes by him. It was okay. And I also read I Am Legend, which was also okay. This book, I don't know a whole lot about this, which is fine going into an author like this where it's just kind of been like meh books so far. And I'm going to go into it blank. No idea. Stephen King has got a little blurb on the back. Hell House is the scariest haunted house novel ever written. It looms over the rest the way the mountains loom over the foothills. I don't get what that last sentence means, but it's a pretty decent book, and it is a haunted house book, which usually those really work for me. So we'll see if this one can do just as well as the other haunted house books have. So there you have Hell House by Richard Matheson. Alright, the next book you're going to plan to read for the month of October is Kin by Keelan Patrick Burke. So, another one where the author so far has been absolutely phenomenal for me. The king of short stories, in my opinion. Sorry, Stephen King. But he's been very good with all the books I've read by him. I mean, there's Sour Candy, there's Blanky, House on Abigail Lane, Jack and Jill, a whole bunch of them, and they all have been at least 4 stars or better. I think maybe one was a 3.5, but it has been a while since I have read a Keelan Patrick Burke, and that was, I think, Jack and Jill maybe a couple months ago. There is, I think, a few more out, but this one is one of the longer ones. I'm just going to read what the bottom thing says here. In the spirit of such iconic horror classics as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Deliverance, Kin begins at the end and studies the possible aftermath for the survivors of such traumas upon their return to the real world. The guilt, the grief, the thirst for revenge, and sets them on an unthinkable journey, back into the heart of darkness. I'm intrigued with this book, A, because it's Keelan Patrick Burke, and B, because it just sounds intriguing to me. So, hopefully we can get to this and knock it out. It's one of the longer ones by him. It looks like it's like almost as thick as like all the ones I've read combined. So, there you have Kin by Keelan Patrick Burke. Alright, the next book that I'm planning to read for October is Suicide Forest by Jeremy Bates. So, I've read one Jeremy Bates book before, and it was The Sleep Experiment, and I gave that 5 stars, and I read it, it's almost been 2 years now, I feel like, no, last year. And it was a phenomenal book, and that put him on, like, the best authors for me so far. It has only been one book, so can't really put him in the same categories like Coates or Alborn or, people like that. But he had a home run in the first one I read by him. So this one, by what I understand, is it's about some wilderness areas in Japan called the Suicide Forest. I don't think it's based off of a true thing, but it could be. But pretty much like you go into the forest and Suicide Forest makes you kill yourself. I'm very intrigued to go into this book because, like I said, Jeremy Bates' Sleep Experiment was a 5-star book. It was one of my top books of all last year. And now I'm dipping into him for a second time, and I really hope that this one's going to be a banger. So there you have The Suicide Forest by Jeremy Bates. Alright, the next book that I'm planning to read for the month of October is a Dean Koontz book that I've wanted to read for a long time. Well, not like a long time, but it's a book that I've wanted to read since I kind of did more investigating into him. Because the 3 bigger dogs you kind of hear of in like the horror thriller genre with like, more classic authors. It's kind of like Koontz, Straub, and King are like the 3 big guys you kind of hear about. There's probably others, but those are the three that I tend to hear the most about, is these three guys: Dean Koontz, Peter Straub, and Stephen King. And there are higher rated Dean Koontz books on like Goodreads and stuff like that, but the one that I'm most intrigued with is, well, this one, Phantoms. So I had mentioned I had gotten a the other Emily not that long ago in a Come Shop With Me. If you have not seen that video, check it out up here. I mentioned that book, and I kind of got some like people saying, you know, this Dean Koontz book is really good, this one's really good, I enjoyed this one. The intent is to read Phantoms first, because I watched another booktuber's video, I don't remember who it was, but they mentioned that Phantoms is loosely close to like It, where it's like there's like these creatures that kind of take other forms and stuff like that. Ideally what happens with this, though, is it sounds like a group of people go into this town, completely abandoned, and then all hell kind of breaks loose. That's kind of the gist of what it says here on the back. But again, like I said, somebody, I don't remember who it was, had mentioned that this is loosely close to like Stephen King's It, like this is his version of it, and I'm very excited to get to it, because obviously It is one of my all-time favorite books of all time in general, and one of my top Stephen King books. So if this could be close, maybe Dean Koontz could end up being an author I start reading more often. Who knows? But yeah, there you have Phantoms by Dean Koontz. Speaking of Darcy Coates, going into the next book I'm planning to read for October is Hunted by, well, Darcy Coates. This is one of the thicker ones that she's got. I'm very intrigued to get into this one, though. The little line on the back says, her disappearance wasn't an accident. Her rescue will be a mistake. So I'm very intrigued to read this. The original one I wanted to do was Parasite, which is the one that's set in space. But I just have a feeling that Hunted is going to be a little bit creepier, and that's the spirit of October is the whole haunted crap. So Hunted kind of feels like it's going to have the vibes a little better than Parasite does. The cover also looks really sick, with the camera kind of sitting down there on the ground. Looks really cool. And again, Darcy Coates, author that has been phenomenal for me so far. I wanted Zocktober to kind of be like a banger month for books I'm reading. Obviously, there are bigger plans going on with other books, but I want to kind of pick like the top dogs, so like I can kind of get through Zocktober like woo. And so I'm excited to get to this book, Hunted by Darcy Coates. Alright, and the last book I'm going to mention, obviously if you've sat through this so far, you're probably wondering, where's Stephen King? You always save the best for last, in my opinion. And so the book that I had picked for this month is one that I kind of want to do like, I want to kind of read it like throughout the month. It's a short story collection. It's the biggest, I think it's the biggest one that he has, and that is Nightmares and Dreamscapes. There are 23 short stories in this little collection. I know a big one that's popular in this is Dolan's Cadillac. That's the only one that comes to mind. I actually just, like, there's 23 of them. I, like, literally had to count them, like, 2 or 3 times just to make sure I got the number right. And the only one that really stood out was Dolan's Cadillac, that a lot of people really talk about or really like. My Pretty Pony, I think, is another one in here that people enjoy. I'm very excited to get to this because, A, it's a bigger book, and B, it's a short story collection. It's another one that I can knock off my list, and what better time than October than to read Nightmares and Dreamscapes, the month that's literally dedicated to nightmares and dreamscapes. So, why wouldn't I? Just kind of seemed like the right book to pick for Stephen King for the month of October. So, I'm very excited to get to this, and yeah, there you have Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. Alright guys, so this is my plan for the month of October. These 6 books here, obviously, so you guys know, some TBRs tend to change. I can add books, I can get rid of books. The 6 of these will be linked down below if you're intrigued with picking any of them up, taking a look at them. But I'm very excited to get to this month because it is spooky season. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you're planning to read for the month of October. If you've got anything scary planned, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.